What's up, guys? Welcome back to the review space. Righty. Well, these are the worst, definitely the most terrible, the worst booked, the worst built champions of 2011. And there's been, actually, yes, there's been at least 10 of them. So I was able to make this list. So let's begin with number 10. Brian Kendrick. Brian Kendrick was the X Division champion. Now, you might think, well, Brian Kendrick, he's a decent wrestler. Matter of fact, he's a pretty good high flyer. Well, the problem with that is that he doesn't really have a consistent gimmick. I mean, no, that's not even right. He doesn't have a gimmick that people can relate to. He has a weird gimmick. He comes across as a stoner mixed with like a Zen master pothead, and he's just a weird dude. So I think he didn't connect with the fans. That was the problem. He was certainly not in favor of. The fans were certainly not in favor of him because they never really cheered him. When he was facing off against guys like Austin Aries, Austin Aries would get cheered, and Brian Kendrick would, most likely get booed by the fans. It just didn't seem like he was over with the fans. The fans didn't really want to see him as champion. Maybe they wanted to see him wrestle because he's pretty good. Again, he's a good inside the ring, but as an X Division champion, as this constant face of the X Division, yeah, not so much. He didn't really convince me. Alright, so, number 9. This is the 9th worst champion of 2011. Abyss. Okay, so, the X Division has been very, very up and down this year. Now, Brian Kendrick was pretty bad. Abyss is probably even worse, because this guy is a huge dude, and I understand that there's no weight limits. Or, yeah, there's no limits, and that's the main gimmick of the whole X Division, is that pretty much anybody can get in there and win that title. The problem is that Abyss can't really go like the high flyers. He's not like a Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe, there's a difference. Samoa Joe can go in the ring, he can do the high flyer stuff, he can do the cruiserweight stuff, and he can go toe-to-toe against guys like AJ Styles. Abyss is more of a powerhouse monster. So giving him the X title is like giving Rey Mysterio the heaviest man title. The biggest, largest, most muscular built arms in the world title. It just doesn't make any sense. So, I was never convinced with Abyss being the X Division champion. I never liked it. I never enjoyed his run. It was very forgettable, and hopefully they'll never do that ever again. Alright, number 8. The 8th worst champion of 2011. Oh, another TNA. James Storm. This was really painful. Very painful, okay? Because I am a fan of James Storm. I like him. I've always dug his singles career. And he had that whole gimmick and that theme song, and I fight and I drink. I don't give up what you think. Anyway, he wins it against Kurt Angle. He beats him in like maybe 2 minutes or so with a last call super kick, and he holds the belt for maybe 8 days, 7 or 8 days. Horrible. If they were going to make him win it, he could have held it for at least a little bit longer. Maybe a month would have been better. Go with the guy. Why not go with the flow and just kind of let this guy do his thing? He's very charismatic. He's got good promo skills. He can go in the ring, and it's just really lame that he became a horrible transitional champion. So just awful. Number 7. Alright, the 7th worst champion of the year. Oh, TNA. 4 guys in a row. Gunnar sucks. I'm sorry, but he just wasn't. To this day, there's nothing convincing about Gunnar that makes me think he's a legit guy who can compete with guys like AJ and guys like Samoa Joe and Jeff Hardy. Gunnar, to me, he's a bodyguard. He was one of the henchmen. He's like a foot soldier. He's a guy who's not really that important. He's an ancillary character. That's his name. His name is Gunnar, and he had another guy with him. I forgot the guy's name already. Gunnar and Scott and Gunnar. I mean, if they remained a tag team, that would have been okay. But the fact that he wins the TV title, what used to be the Global Championship, the Legends Belt. It's horrible. It's horrible because he had no build-up. It didn't make any sense. There was no memorable storylines with him, and it went nowhere. And Gunnar still feels like a complete mid-carder, and if he disappeared tomorrow, he stopped wrestling from TNA, I wouldn't even know. Alright, number 6. This is the 6th worst champion of the year. Kelly Kelly. Kelly Kelly completely sucks. She is absolute garbage, alright? She can't wrestle, she can't go in the ring, she doesn't have any amazing moves, she can't deliver a great storyline, she can't cut a promo, she's nothing. I mean, to me, Kelly Kelly is just, she's nothing but fan service. She's complete fan service. She's a cute face, blonde girl, and that's it. And that's it. You know, she's just meant to fan service, and there's really nothing amazing about her. She's a complete generic Barbie doll who should be jobbing to more, you know, better in-ring performers like maybe Natalia, alright, or somebody like that. Alright, number 5, the 5th worst champion of the year. Oh snap, Jeff Jarrett. Oh, double J. Well, he became the AAA heavyweight champion, and that's the Mexican promotion, and he wins that belt. He's the heavyweight champion of that promotion. He won it in the middle of June, actually, June this year. Here's the problem. He has that belt, he's carrying it with him every single, pretty much every other week, but he doesn't defend it. He doesn't defend that belt. We don't see him defend it. We don't even know what it's about. There's no storyline surrounding it. And I understand that maybe he's not allowed to do it, because maybe he's only allowed to do it in Mexico, in the AAA promotion. But still, so why have that belt to begin with then? What's the point? You know, why make him champion? I don't understand it. It's not like, you know, fans exposed to TNA are all of a sudden going to start watching AAA. I mean, it's not like we have access to AAA to begin with, you know, unless maybe you live in Mexico or something. So I think it's a very superfluous reign, you know. It's not the belt itself, but the reign itself is meaningless. Alright, number 4, the 4th worst champion of the year, Rey Mysterio. Oh my god, Rey Mysterio is the WWE champ for maybe, I don't know, almost an entire episode of Raw. But it was really very short-lived. You know, I mean, granted, I think it's a bit more memorable because, well, Rey Mysterio, he won the WWE Championship. This was when CM Punk supposedly left, and they had to crown a brand new champ. Of course, later in the night, Mr. John Cena defeated Rey, so that sort of threw Rey Mysterio's reign completely out of the window. What was the point of even giving the belt to Rey? I mean, if they gave it to The Miz, who was the guy that Rey had to beat to win that belt, it would have made more sense because Cena would have defeated Miz. He was beating a heel, so that would have made Cena look, oh wow, yo, Cena beating a heel. That's great because he's the ultimate face. But Rey Mysterio, it just, you know, what a useless reign. I mean, it was terrible. All right, number 3. This is the 3rd worst title reign of the year. Alberto Del Rio has a duo of bad championship reigns. His first was especially horrible. His first reign lasted barely maybe a couple of weeks. And he cashes the Money in the Bank in, but I mean, it was just garbage because nothing really happened. I mean, he felt like a mid-carder going in. He suddenly cashes it in, and he wins it, and then he was just champion, but it's like he got no heat almost. Like, it felt like he didn't get any heat, and his character, his status never really improved after winning it. He just kind of, oh, now he's champion. Oh, okay, yeah, sure. Cena was still the face, you know. CM Punk was still way more over than Alberto. You have Randy, who's still more over than Alberto, and they took the belt off him pretty quickly too. So that was kind of, you know, proof that this guy just can't really carry it. And his second reign was a little bit longer, but still not that impressive. So unfortunately, Alberto, one of the worst booked champions I've ever seen. He looked absolutely weak. Alright, speaking of weak champions, number 2, Christian! Oh my goodness. Christian, poor Christian. This guy had a horrible couple of championships. You know, he reminds me of Alberto, actually. It's so funny because he was feuding with Alberto in SmackDown. Now, Christian won the world title a couple of times. His first reign lasted barely 2 days, lost it to Randy right away, just like that. You know, so he won it the first time. It was a feel-good moment, you know, after Edge left and all that stuff. And then his second reign was equally, you know, forgettable. It was longer, but it was still forgettable. Like, oh yeah, he was champion. You don't even remember that he was champion. Like, it's very forgettable. So, poor Christian, poor Christian. Alright, and number one. The number one worst champion of the year. Dolph Ziggler! Oh my gosh. AKA Nikki! Well, what a terrible reign. I mean, who actually remembers that this guy was World Heavyweight Champion this year? He holds the belt for like 15 minutes or something. I can't even remember. On SmackDown for a very short period like that. And it was incredibly forgettable. Nothing happened with his character. He was never catapulted to a main event status. He held that belt for a very short time. Nothing happened. It wasn't a special moment. It was boring. It was lame. It was corny. It was forgettable. It didn't do anything to improve the product. That's the worst part of this whole Dolph Ziggler thing. This very short stint, this short-lived... I don't know why they even gave it to him. I have no idea why. But anyway, yeah, he's definitely the worst champion, but he's definitely a better mid-card champion. Granted, he never defends the US belt very much. I hope that he loses it to Zack Ryder. So that's it. That's the top 10 worst champions of 2011. So, let me know what y'all thought. You know, comment in the comment section. Make sure to comment, rate, favorite, subscribe, all that good stuff. You know I'm sizzling, add as friend. And until next time. Thank you for watching this episode of The Review Space. Ciao!